Hi everybody, Shannon here um, to talk about classical conditioning. I don't have any pets anymore since my Macy passed away a couple years ago. My daughter Sydney is in California, so I can't experiment on her, and my husband will not have any of it. And I work remotely, so I'm here by myself most of the time. So, I'm going to use an example from my past that had occurred quite a few years ago. Um, I am a noted control freak, self admitted, and I do have a small fear of flying. Um, I didn't for the longest time, but a series of events have kind of tried to have made it so that I have issues with it. The first event, of course, for me, being 54 years old, 9/11. I live in New York, and that had a lot of different effects on me in that at the time, my mom was actually in the air at the time when that was happening. My sister was working in New York City across from the towers at that time, and my sister in law was supposed to be on the flight that came from Boston that went into the tower, but last minute her boss had switched with hers, unfortunately for her. And then of course my father is a retired New York State trooper, and he was sent down during that whole thing. So there was that in the back of my brain. Then what had happened a few years later, my husband is a retired chef, and he used to travel around doing culinary competitions. So they had the Culinary Olympics in London, and yes, there's a Culinary Olympics in London at the time in 2005. So my daughter was 5 years old at the time. On the flight back, we were hitting some pretty good turbulence. I didn't like flying as it was at that point, and but I was okay with it. I could deal with it. On the flight back, we hit major turbulence, and that was one thing. But halfway through the flight, there was a recording that came on to assume the crash position. And I have never heard such dead silence in my entire life. So the recording was on, it was telling us how to put our heads down and brace ourselves and this and that, and then the recording stopped. And there was dead silence, I think, for the next like 20 to 30 minutes. Literally, everybody just waiting on pins and needles to hear what was going to happen next. And we waited, and there was still turbulence, and we're still jostling around, and nothing. Eventually, what it ended up happening too was that there were passengers being taken from the back of the plane, carried to the front of the plane because they had either passed out or freaked out, or they were going to hurt themselves or somebody else. So they were brought up to the front of the plane with flight attendants. After some rocky riding all the way home, I think we had a couple hours left. We finally landed in New York City after, that kind of ride, and we landed. After that point, I was terrified to fly. Can you blame me? So from that point on, I have anytime I could hear that sound, that I don't even know how to describe it, that whining sound that a plane makes when you can hear it struggling to hold itself together, is what my thoughts go to. So the neutral stimulus in that case was the sounds of flying. That's the part that triggers me. The unconditional or unconditioned stimulus was the announcement of the plane, and the sounds from the plane. That announcement was it for me. I could take flying and I could take that kind of thing. It jostled me a little bit, but from that point on, that did it for me, that announcement and the sounds of the plane. So then the unconditioned response is the fear of the flying, which then, with the sound of the plane, the conditioned stimulus, the conditioned response then became my fear of flying, but with my family. I noticed that flights afterwards, it doesn't stop me. I'm terrified of it, but it doesn't stop me, and I don't take anything for it. But I have a calming ritual that I do, and I have this visualization of, keeping the plane safe. But I noticed when I flew once, because I had driven my daughter and I drove cross country to move her out to California, and I had to fly back by myself. And I thought I was going to be I wouldn't have anybody to help me with this, but I was fine the entire time, had no problems, turbulent, whatever, it didn't bother me at all. So I think what it really is my fear of flying with my family and having no control. Because as I said, I'm an admitted self-control freak, and it's just, that was part of my fear. So that is my classical conditioning example. Thank you.